Hey guys, the last Wordslinger here, and I finally saw Tron. Oh, Tron. Oh, where do I begin with this debacle of one of my favorite 80s movies ever? And, you know, I saw Spoonie's review before I actually saw the movie, and I kept his opinions in mind, but you know, because I wanted to see if there was any validity to what he was saying. And to be completely honest, he was right about some things, and I differed slightly on a few of the other points that he made. Let's just get right into it. A few of the things that I differed from Spoonie on was he did not like the way that they digitally euthanized Jeff Bridges for Clue. Clue was supposed to look like a young Jeff Bridges, and they had to digitally make him younger to pull that off. And Spoonie thought it looked, the effect looked pretty bad. And I have to disagree. I mean, other than a few moments where it didn't really seem to work, like the mouth didn't sync up quite right, or he seemed like one of those characters from the Polar Express or one of those other movies where they have animation that looks almost real. You know, there were only a few moments of that, but beyond that it was passable. I didn't find too much wrong with it. You know, it was a passable effect. I didn't find it too distracting. But that, you know, that was just me personally. What else did he comment about? Okay, well let's talk about the plot holes that I noticed. And to be completely honest, yes, you could pretty much fill in these plot holes if you really, really tried. And to be completely honest, it's a sign of bad writing if you have to try really hard to fill in those plot holes. I mean, it really is. If you have to try very hard to fill in plot holes, then it's not really good writing, no matter how much you try to argue it. It isn't. It just isn't. Okay. Let's start with Clue's... okay, Clue, the main bad guy, who was supposed to be a program that looks like Jeff Bridges back when he made it, so it's a young Jeff Bridges. It looks like a young Jeff Bridges. Clue... the whole premise of the movie is that Jeff Bridges, Flynn, from the original movie, gets trapped in the grid, the computer world that he discovered in the first movie. And he was working with Tron and a program of his own creation, Clue, to try and make the perfect system. You know, so he could use it to better all of mankind. Fair enough. And then what happens is that during their work in trying to create this system, they discover these new programs called ISOs, which I'll get to later, that are like new life. That's essentially what the movie is making them out to be. They're like a miracle. But something goes wrong with Clue's programming, and he takes over. He basically attacks Tron and Flynn and to take over the whole grid. And he succeeds. He takes over the whole grid. He's in control. Flynn escapes, and Tron... I'll get to Tron, what happens to Tron later too, because that's another big pet peeve of mine. And then jump however many years later, Flynn's son Sam gets, well, he doesn't get a message. Alan, played by Bruce Boxleitner. Alan, who was from the characters from the original movie as well. Alan receives a page from Flynn's old office at the arcade, which you'll remember from the first movie if you guys have seen it, and tells Sam, saying, "I think you should go and check it out." Why he has Sam go and check it out, I'll never imagine, instead of just going and checking it out himself, since he's the one that got the page. But, for plot's sake, we'll just say, sure. So Sam goes and checks it out, gets zapped into the grid, and discovers that Clue is now in control of the grid, and is attempting to take Flynn's identity disc, though those discs that all the Tron programs have. They throw them around in the disc fighting things, and apparently they hold all the program's information. He is trying to get Flynn's disc, which is capable of allowing someone to leave through the portal into the real world, because he wants to get into the real world and take it over. And that's basically the whole plot, is trying to stop Clue from doing this. Simple enough. Now let's get to the problems with some of these things. It turns out that Clue is the one that originally sent the page that Alan received. Okay. Why he did this, it's not very clearly stated, but you can pretty much piece together from the dialogue and what everybody says is that the portal to the outside world can only be opened from the outside world. So Clue obviously sends a page to somebody so that they'll open the portal and come in, so he has his escape route. Fair enough. But, you know, along with the portal being opened, he also needs Flynn's disc. And just by pure coincidence, Flynn's son is the one that comes through and enters the grid. So, you know, I'm thinking to myself, if I'm a villain and I need something from this hero that's been in hiding for all these years, and suddenly his son shows up, and you've got him. You've got this guy's son. What would go through your mind? In my mind, I'd think, awesome. I could ransom this guy and use him to get the thing that I need. But what does Clue do? He tries to kill him right off the bat. Yeah. It was kind of a head scratcher right there. Why are you trying to kill probably the most valuable person to you right now, other than the guy that you're going after? So that was pretty much a head scratcher right there. Now let's get back to the ISOs for a second. These ISOs that cause this whole fall and dispute between Clue and Flynn and everything. Apparently, according to the movie, they're important, but it's never clearly stated why. And that's bothersome to me, because just saying that something's important for the sake of it being important is not good enough. From a writing standpoint, it's not good enough for someone like me. Because if I'm going to know why they're trying to protect these people, I want to know what everybody's lives are being put in danger for. I mean, in my mind, it's like, why are they important? They just are. Okay. I'm not risking my life till you tell me. So it's never very clearly explained why these ISOs are important and what they mean to the real world as Flynn views it. But that aside, more plot holes. There are a lot. Another really, really big plot hole that I noticed. Well, it's not so much a plot hole as much as as I could clearly see it was the filmmakers trying to pad out the movie a little bit longer. Toward the end of the film, Cora, the last remaining ISO, Cora, Flynn, and Sam are on their way to the portal to escape, so that once they're out, Clue will never have a chance of getting out again because Flynn's disc will be gone. Cora gets herself captured intentionally. Why? I mean, a lot of people are said, oh, it was because she was distracting the bad guys so that Sam and Flynn could get away and get to the portal. Why? I mean, I guess it was poor cinematography or poor writing or something, but as far as I could see, there was the one... Basically, there's Clue, and then there's his right-hand man, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. But he's the dude with the dual identidiscs. And the thing... And oh, it was only him. I mean, yes, he was badass, but I don't think it really required Cora letting herself get captured. And you know, I'm going to segue into another pet peeve about this movie, so I could segue back to this one and go deeper with it. Tron. We only see Tron's face once in the entire movie, and that was during a flashback. Now, I understand that you may not have been able to get the original... you may not have been able to like, de-euthanize the original actor's appearance, as you know, enough to show his face that much. But let me tell you about what they did with Tron. Tron, the title character of this franchise. Tron, in a flashback, defends Flynn when Clue turns on them and attacks them. And what we find out is that Clue, instead of just de-rezzing Tron, turns him into his right-hand man, the dual identidisc fighter guy. Clue turns him into that guy and basically makes him like a mindless fighting servant to Clue. And I'm okay. I was okay with that. I was like, if you want to turn Tron into a bad guy, so we can have some ultimate moment of realization and snap back to being the old Tron, and so he can fight and save the day. That's great. I'm down with that. That is awesome. I like that sort of plot device. It's cool. But in all honesty, it wasn't done the justice that it deserved. Basically what happens is that toward the end of the film, Clue, a bunch of lackeys, and evil Tron are in pursuit of the trio. And Tron, through no means that I can comprehend, sees original Flynn, and suddenly he can remember who he is, and sacrifices himself to stop Clue. Like, literally, he crashes his one-man fighter jet into Clue's fighter jet so that the trio can get away and get to the portal. Now, let me count the things wrong with this. First of all, how was he able to just snap back and remember who he was? He was reprogrammed, and as far as I can understand from the Tron series, when a program has a programming, it sticks to that programming unless some higher power, like a user, changes it. Secondly, his sacrifice was A, completely wasted, and B, completely unceremonious. He gets one cool line, and then he sacrifices himself. One cool line. So let's count this. The title character gets one scene where his face is shown, and one badass line, and that's it. The whole movie is called Tron, and you don't even use Tron to his fullest extent. And I say that his sacrifice was wasted because he did it to stop Clue from stopping the trio. And what happens when they reach the portal? Somehow Clue got there before them, even though his ship was crashed into by Tron's. I never quite figured that out. So Tron's role in the entire movie was completely wasted as flunky to the main villain, and nothing more. I mean, he didn't even get to be the martyr hero because he didn't stop Clue with his sacrificial attack. It didn't work. And the biggest upset of all is that sacrifice. Of course, Hollywood gave us one last shot of Tron sinking into the digital sea that they were flying over, and his colors changed from the red to the white. So, sequel bait. So I told you that to go back to the original Korra getting captured. And I say that, and I had to tell you all that because my biggest problem with Korra getting captured is, A, it was just evil Tron. That's all it was. It was evil Tron, and they realized it was evil Tron, like, at that time when Korra got captured, or previously. So at that point they knew it was Tron turned evil. So my point is this. And it was just Tron. There were no other, like, evil lackeys running around with Tron. No, it was just him capturing Korra by himself. So my point is this. Why did you have to needlessly get Korra captured when Flynn, apparently being this godlike user, and Sam, who was also a user, couldn't just run in there, distract evil Tron long enough so that one of them could take his identity disc and be like, oh, we get good Tron back, blah, user powers. I mean, seriously, Flynn was doing all this crazy-ass user shit in the first movie, and in this one we only see him do a few things. I don't know if he got old, and that kind of diminished his powers, which wouldn't make any sense to me, personally, but I don't see why that... All in all, it was just very sloppy writing, in my opinion. I mean, it was pretty. It was... Oh, yeah, that was another pet peeve of mine. It was supposed to be like this big action movie. They didn't even show an action scene. I think Spoonie commented on this. He was talking about how Sam was this badass guy and was able to take out 8 dudes. I know the scene he's talking about. It's toward the end. My pet peeve with that scene wasn't that Sam was so easily able to take out 8 dudes without, you know, breaking a sweat, apparently. It was that they showed the fight off screen. They didn't even shoot the fight. The fight happened off screen. You're billing an action movie, an action adventure movie, and you fail to put in what could possibly be an awesome action scene for other stuff. Really? So, like I was saying, my final opinion on this movie is that it looks pretty. It's got some decent action. I mean, it's got a lot of... I mean, the light cycles aren't even the same either. The light cycles don't move at right angles anymore. They move at curves. They move in curves now. I mean, it's like they took all of the Tron franchise and just peed on it. With sloppy writing and changing everything that we originally loved about the old Tron series. That's really all I can say, and I'm sorry if you guys out there disagree, or if there are some diehard Tron fans that really were happy to just get a sequel, but I'm a big Tron fan myself. I liked the original Tron a lot, and I just don't think this sequel did it any justice. And if they make another one, like I think they're hinting at making another one, I can only pray that it's better than this one. Oh well. I'll see you guys later.